So this is sort of rhythmic resonance removal. I thought it was pretty funny. You could do this multiple passes to create more intensified resonance removal or make very subtle resonance removal by just using just one pass. Anyways, this is the power of these plugins these days. It's like you could spend a lifetime in one of these things because there's so much you can do. So in this one, I have all of these set up so that they're dynamically attacking the resonance spectrum as it sounds. So it's very hard to hear because that's the point. You're just removing the resonance. You're not removing too much of the actual texture of the sound. So here's the sound, and you can see how these kind of dance around the spectrum of those bands. Isn't that cool? So you have two things happening there. One is that it's following this LFO, this modulator. That's the point of these modulators. And each one of these is set up here, frequency 1 to 7, so that they can each have their own LFO. But besides all that, there's so many more things you could do to mess with how the LFO works, to change the oscillation of the filters and whatnot. And I'll do some examples of that. But anyways, what you're doing with this is not only are you removing the resonance dynamically, but then you're shaping and dancing around the pertinent frequencies so that it's a more musical and hopefully even more precise, in some ways, removal of more of those resonant issues. But with this basic modulator, you're not really getting into the precision. With something like the follower, then you're working with levels, and so you can actually get in there and sort of have this bandwidth shift around so that it attacks precise resonances as they occur. And so that's why I wanted to experiment with this whole concept to see how I could set it up very quickly so that in a few clicks of a button, you would be able to quickly run past resonance removal as needed, because it's a really cool feature for mastering and making a final output mix. But just as an example for this, I'll show like some of the different shapes that can occur. So this is the basic shape, right? But if I turn this dial, look what happens. I mean, that's spasming out right now. So, and I change it again. It's pretty cool to be able to do that. And using the follower, it's got the more dynamic impact so that it wants to hit certain spectrums very quickly. So it's really precisely rhythmically occurring as the drums occur in the given spectrum, the given bands. So that's a pretty awesome resonance suppression system right there without even having to go in even further. And then of course there's ways to further finesse this whole process. So we got so much dynamic, dancing around here. There's, enough there to facilitate a good quality output, because it's not going to remove too much of the significant stuff, and instead it's going to remove very hard to discern stuff, which is the whole point of this process. You could, of course, flip all of this around so that it's going to go in the opposite direction. And what it is you finesse all of these levels in sort of the detection system and the control of the bandwidth and all that, so that it gets more and more accurate as needed for your specific productions or tracks or groups of stems or whatever. So here's the reverse. So you should hear like an audible comb filter effect. So the comby sound is actually the sound we're removing. So you hear quite a difference of tonality there. And then we could, run that through additional modulation, run that through these additional wave processes. incredible stuff. So there you go.